Welcome to That's Debatable. My name is Ryan Dietrich, here with my guys, Jeremiah Bays and Will Ward. We are live for the first time on our new home, the Yamo Media Network. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and streaming on Instagram live tonight. It is Wednesday, June 8th. The NBA Finals Game 3 starts here in about 10 minutes. My Colorado Avalanche clinched the Western Conference 2 nights ago. And the other breaking news is Deshaun Watson is in more hot water, and the Browns have jumped in the tub right with him.
Oh, my God.
But like I said, 10 minutes till Game 3. So let's talk about how we got here. Boston Celtics, Golden State Warriors. It's tied 1-1. Split the series in San Francisco. So before we get into any kind of predictions or anything like that, before Game 2 Sunday, Draymond Green gave his team a much-needed attitude adjustment. How much credit does Draymond deserve for that Game 2 win Sunday night?
And Draymond, he deserves a lot of that credit. He did three things. You know, he was a motivator, he was an instigator, and he was an igniter for real, because he ignited that team and led them not only just on the court, but just more of a emotional asset to that team. So I think Draymond deserves a lot of credit. We seen when he was getting scrappy on the floor, getting those guys' faces, getting them out of their game, and it was after that you should see a total different Golden State team. So I'll say he deserves a nice little bit of credit for it.
The heart and soul of the Warriors, man. Now he ain't do the scoring that I needed him to do, but he did everything else that I needed him to do. He got into Jaylen Brown's head. Some people felt like he should have got a tech. He could have got kicked out. You know, that's debatable. I'm happy that he played his cards right, but he was at home, so they ain't do that. He set the tone. That's what he's supposed to do. He's a Warriors backbone. He's their enforcer, their defensive guy. He's their playmaker. But yeah, I give him about. No, he get half of the credit though. I can't give him all the credit. But he did get him right.
That's kind of one of those things you've said it before and before. They run the offense through Draymond.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not just offensive production. There comes a lot of that is attitude, will to win, all those kinds of things. And it was a tight affair, the first half. I think it was a 2-point game at halftime. But like we've seen again and again, man, that third quarter, 21-2 run, I believe, to close out the third.
Yeah. Jordan
Poole hits the 49-footer from half court.
That was beautiful.
I mean, just bananas. And you could see him.
Pool party.
That was definitely a pool party. So what was it about that third quarter?
I mean, you go into halftime down by 2, and you let them come out and score 23 points in one quarter. You got to expect for the momentum not only just to change, but for your chances of winning to go way down. It's hard to already fight on the road and then have to come back. Jason Tatum, he scored most of his points in the first half. He only scored 7 in the second half, and by him being one of the leading scorers on that team, when he's down, you would expect for somebody else to come and pick him up. You had guys like Al Horford, who in the first game, he helped him out, led scoring.
It was a fluke.
Yeah, it was obviously was.
He was excited.
You only get 2 points in the entire game.
Yeah, he was excited, and he blew his load in the first game.
Yes, he did, man.
Yeah, then you see what happened. He had egg on his face game 2, and he only had 2 points. 1 for 4, not the same 6 for 8 like he had. He had a big impact in that first game. Him and Derek White disappeared. Jason Tatum, he did have 28 points, but he went 8 for 19, 6 for 9 from 3. So looking at the 3-point stat sheet, it looked good. But he had 4 turnovers. And my favorite stat that's super telling, he was minus 36 on the floor. So no matter what he did,
Yikes.
When he was on the floor, he somewhat got him exposed. And once he went cold, it was a wrap.
One of the biggest stats, you bring out stat lines, one of the biggest stats from that game was them turning the ball over many times and allowing Golden State to get 33 points off of turnovers. So anytime you get that many points off of turnovers, it's going to be hard for you to not only win, but to kind of keep in the lead or keep close when you're turning the ball. You're just giving points away. You're not getting them on the other end. So at some point, you have to learn how to control the ball. That's what we hope for them to see tonight, is them control the ball a little bit more, for Tatum to step up, and for him to get some more help from not only Al Horford, but to look for Brown to get more, Smart to have more. Yeah,
we need
he
Tatum to
does.
help himself. This question of he came out, this big talk of his Jason Tatum a superstar. I mean, I don't think he might be knocking out the door. He's still young. He still got time, but he's not playing like one. His first game, he only had what? He went, where is it at? 3 for 17.
Yep.
Yeah,
1 for 5 from 3.
Yeah, terrible first game. And then he came out, him and Jaylen Brown was smoking in the first half in game 2, but disappeared in the second half. We need Jason Tatum to step up. Not alone, only how Al Horford and Derek White can't carry the team. They did what they had to do. They did get one of the games on the road, but not with their alleged superstars' help.
And Will, you did mention turnovers. I heard a good stat today. In this playoff, the 2022 playoffs, when Boston commits over 16 turnovers, they're 0 and 5. And when they commit 15 or less turnovers, they're 13 and 2. And again, at home, typically you see your role players, your complementary players, those guys like we talked about, 3 through 10. Those secondary guys, typically at home, they play a little better. We saw some of that in the Miami-Boston series. So I look for Boston at home tonight to maybe see some of those guys step up. Obviously, Derek White, has got to come to life. Smart, Horford can't have 2 points again each.
Smart, he be doing too much. I think Tatum might have a better game tonight, but it's a lot on his back right now. And maybe the road players will step up, but the Celtics got at home. They play better on the road. Like they lost. They're able to lose at home, and outside of the Brooklyn Nets, like I was talking to you off air earlier,
yep.
The Nets, although they did get swept, but those 2 games that was at Boston was the closest game in that whole series, and Milwaukee and Miami both snagged 2 games at Boston, so I wouldn't be shocked if Golden State went ahead and went up 2-1 tonight. Jason Tatum, you was talking about turnovers. Jason Tatum is actually leading the whole entire playoffs in turnovers. I want to say he has 86, and right there next to him, up under him, is Jaylen Brown with 82. So the turnover ratio for them is actually very high. So I don't know if they can really settle that down.
And can you maybe credit some of that? Is that the defensive side from Golden State? Is that the length of Andrew Wiggins? Is that Kevon Looney showing up and doing some things? We're talking about Draymond. What's with the turnovers? Where's that coming from?
I think it's just by them not having a real point guard. You look up and down that roster, they don't have a true point guard. You can let Marcus Smart control the ball all you want, or you can let Tatum bring the ball up and give it over to Brown. They don't have a true point guard. So when you're trying to have guys that normally don't control the ball and can't really find that open pass, you get these forced shots, you get forced entries to the lane, and it's causing those turnovers. Yeah, it's good defense somewhat by Golden State. I believe this is a self-inflicted wounds that the Celtics have to figure out, and they got to figure it out quick, because if you allow Steph and don't let Clay wake up and Poole finally show up to the pool party, it's going to be hard for that Boston team who has already been 5-4 in this playoffs at home. It's going to be hard for them to continue that momentum at home.
And you mentioned a good point. The Warriors holding Boston to 88 points. Maybe a lot of that self-inflicted. The turnovers, just a lack of offensive production from those guys. But you said, got to get Clay going. So my question I pose to you, is Clay's slump coming from just he's in a shooter slump, or does Boston's defense, which is arguably the best in the league, if not the best in the league, is Boston's defense to credit for Clay's slump?
No.
Excuse me.
Give them credit for making him have to work a little harder, but this is the NBA Finals. Clay, this is another level, and Clay he's slow and steady wins the race. Every series for Clay has been a marathon. Started out slow, and towards the end of the series, we kind of seen Clay getting hot. So he just got to fill it out. Now, it was a blowout, but Clay stayed in the fourth quarter. Steve Kerr tried to let him find his rhythm. He still couldn't find a rhythm. So I wouldn't say that the backups did a solid job on him. He just got to find a stride. And eventually, when Klay Thompson hit his stride, Game 6 Clay, Game 5 Clay, we're not there yet. So for now, leave him open if you want to. I wouldn't recommend.
I don't feel that's the go-to is to leave him open. I mean, he's 1 for 8 from the three-point line, so that means he's still shooting, and at some point he's going to click. And I think that one three-pointer, it was a momentum shift on that three-pointer. So, and then it's the confident booster on himself So, like you said, leave them open if you want, but that's not the recipe. That's a recipe for disaster if you want to do that.
Do you guys think any of this is lingering from him missing?
Could
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
sure.
what? How many 100 days? Like
He missed 2 straight seasons with a torn ACL, and then he tore his Achilles in the training camp.
I mean, you look at guys like Markelle Fultz, or you look at
This isn't one of those.
it's not one of those.
Nah, it's
where
not.
with
Nah,
the
Clay.
Ben Simmons.
Nah,
it's
Clay.
not a
Nah,
mental thing with
mentally.
him right now.
Nah. Clay isn't mental. He's not a mentally weak superstar. Nah, I wouldn't say he's a superstar either. But Clay's not a mentally weak player.
borderline superstar.
Yeah, he has superstar qualities, and he definitely a championship caliber player. But no, he's not mentally weak at all. Like, I've seen that man score 37 in a quarter. I seen him light my Bulls up with 14-3. Like Clay's different.
Still
he just
salty about that, huh?
Nah, I ain't salty. I like Clay, but
Everybody likes Clay. It's hard to not like.
everybody likes Clay. He just gotta, like I said, he just gotta find his stride. Leave him open if you want to. He's a deadly shooter. He'll find his stride. He'll get Boston in Game 4, Game 5. He'll definitely, in that closeout game, he'll definitely have a big game.
Man, you look up and down this stat line, you see Curry that had 29 points. He led all points on that team. Jordan Poole came in with 17, and after that,
huge
I mean,
17.
Yep.
12 from Looney, 11 from Wiggins, and there's to your end of your double-digit numbers. So, I mean, it's kind of you almost stop Steph, who's 9 for 21 from the three-point line. So, obviously, they feel or excuse me, not 9 for 21. That's 5 for 12 from the three-point line, 9 for 21 from the field. But obviously, those guys feel comfortable shooting. You're not going to get a lot of drives, so you don't have to have Al Horford so much camped down in the post. But you still account for Wiggins, who's going to be slashing, and we don't know what we're going to get out of Gary Payton Jr. He's going to be coming and get more minutes and coming into the finals a little bit more. Yeah. But I think the more that they can get stops,
He had big impact last game though.
He did.
Gary Payton, he played 23. No, where he at?
he played
He
25
played
minutes.
25 minutes, 3 for 3. But my most important stat, he was plus 15 while he was on the court. I think he had a few. He had 2. No, who's that? Yeah. No, that's Jordan Poole.
Hence why I said Gary
he didn't
Payton's
have no
going to be
steals.
coming and
He
getting
didn't have no
effective
steals,
to
but
the
he
game.
did have some good passes, and he definitely, like I said, he was plus 20, plus 15 on the court, and he did his thing to finally get back on the court.
Well, that's the other thing. Like you talked about,
Other players.
He's plus 15, but as Will mentioned, as we've talked about, Boston just kind of hung one up. They laid a big egg, Game 2, basically.
Right.
So like.
As a unit,
Was it as a unit, man? Low
Everybody's
offensive
minus.
production, all of that. So I mean, yes, Gary Payton had a good game. Boston had a big dip, though. So with that, I saw that Andrew Wiggins is so far, the second leading scorer for the Warriors. Not typically, that was not their game plan going into this series. Do you see that continuing, or specifically tonight? Who picks up the slack? Who's your second leading scorer for the Warriors? Does Clay step up and find his rhythm tonight? You think that happens in Boston?
I still say it's a combination of Poole and Wiggins. That's the second 2 guys, and Steph is gonna have his moments. Like Steph, Game 1, his first quarter was amazing, but he kind of fizzled out the rest of the way.
Yep.
Game 2, Steph was consistent throughout the game. Brought some first quarter, second quarter, and then third quarter he killed them.
Game on.
Third quarter he killed them, and then he didn't even play the fourth. He didn't need to. No need.
Man.
So I just like I said last week, on Saturday, Poole will have some impact, and Wiggins will have an impact. I expect them to be the ones to carry the load behind Steph. Wiggins will get you a sleepy 20.
And in that, dude, man, that Game 2, like we said, 2-point game at half, and in 7 or 8 minutes, that was game over. Warriors ended it in third quarter. Fourth quarter, like they said, rest of the starters, it was done. So it's about 9:05. Tip is probably happening right about now.
Right.
Game 3 in Boston. The Garden's going to be rocking. Boston's always had kind of a legendary home court advantage. Like
That's
we've
debatable.
mentioned, Boston hasn't played that well. So what's going to happen tonight, guys? Lay it on me.
Who you got, Will?
I mean, of course, you know who I
You got Gang Green, don't you?
Gang Green all the way. I think that finally getting back to Boston, how the legendary Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would say, finally Boston has returned back to the NBA Finals. And those fans of Boston, they're excited, man. They love what they have in Boston, that young team, the young nucleus, and I think they're going to get behind that team. even more than they have in the playoffs so far. This is a total different ball game being in the finals. So even though they may have been 5-4 coming into this game, I think they got a good chance of coming in tonight and making a statement, and not only winning tonight, but that they could transition over to the next game. So I think they got to start off and kind of, I said it on the previous show, you got to come out with the haymaker. And they came out, they battled with them, tussled with them, but that third quarter, we obviously see the second half is going to be a big determining factor of who wins this game.
Third quarter
for the
Warriors.
In the first game, it was 48-18. In the fourth quarter, and then it flipped to Golden State had 43-14 in the third quarter.
Yep.
So those type of numbers, those mismatch, real lopsided scores, it can't happen for Boston this game if they even want to keep it close. Because right now, I think with Draymond trying to get into these guys' heads, he's
definitely in their head.
It's affecting them a little bit.
Get off my head, bro.
If they let Golden State take one of these games in Boston, it's not going to
get home court advantage back. It happens tonight.
I think it starts tonight, and they go on to win tonight.
You got a score?
I'm going to go with 102. It's going to be a close one, 102-97.
A little low-scoring affair. And for those out there, Boston's a 3.5-point favorite at home. The over-under started at 212. I saw it up to about 214. In the first two games, the total would have been like 228. In Game 2, it would have been 197. So kind of two extremes like we talked about. A little bit more offense Game 1, a little less so Game 2. Now we got a couple points to come back about Boston's attitude. Jer, Game 3 starting right now, man. Make your pick before the tip. Who you got and why?
I definitely got the Warriors. I got the Warriors 118 to 104. But the Warriors are known for strong third quarters, and I don't think that Boston's still going to be able to weather the storm. They're going to try to throw the haymaker, like you say, in that first quarter, but I'm expecting some Mayweather type defense, and they're just going to counter that. And then they're going to come back hit them in the mouth, and once they hit them in the mouth, they're going to go down, and down goes Boston.
All right.
Big game. Steph will be Steph. He gonna have his moments, and hopefully he doesn't wear out come fourth quarter. But like I said, I'm expecting.
You think they get it done in the third quarter?
15 to 22 points. Yep, 15 to 22 points from Poole. I need another sleepy 20 from Wiggins. When you look up, wow, Wiggins got that much.
Sleepy
one of
20.
them. I need him. I need a poster. I need a poster from Wiggins. I need Draymond to get a tech. I need I need big game from Looney. I think it's gonna be. I think the Warriors is they ready to go to war.
I like that. I'm right with you. I got the blue and the yellow on. I'm going to take the Warriors 111-106. It's going to be my prediction. I think they carry some of that attitude across country, bring it into Boston. Boston may not be ready for it, but, a little bit of momentum, man, when that Warriors team, they're experienced, they got veterans. When they got some momentum going, man, look out. Clay might follow up tonight off of, the back of Curry. He's going to show up and get it done. I agree with you. Maybe Kevon Looney steps up, provides some big boards, and just causes a little bit of damage down low. And if they get some of that inside game going, really helps them spread the floor, and that ball movement can just kill them. Right. So back to Draymond helping Golden State bring that attitude in. Boston can be a nasty team, man. They've got attitude. They're not backing down. They're strong and young.
Nasty town.
They will crack. Yeah,
they're
that's
fans.
right, dude.
Yeah,
That's
fans.
Boston is gritty. So my question, I guess, is can that attitude flip? Warriors go on the aggressive in Game 2. Can you guys see Boston bringing some of that attitude right back to them? I mean, defensive player of the year, best defensive team, man. Get up in their face, lock them down. Any chance of that
That's the
happening
problem.
tonight?
You want to go ahead?
Man, I've been waiting for Ryan to finish. I didn't want to cut him off because, both of y'all going against Boston, I kind of feel alone right now. Both of y'all going with Golden State.
Over on this side.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But, by having Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year, and we've seen how Marcus Smart has been in the huddles, being a igniter of his own. We call it Draymond an igniter and an instigator and a motivator of his team. I don't think Marcus Smart is too far from being that. So I think if he can get his guys in tune and get a little bit extra help out of Williams, and we need just anybody to come in and help him out. I think it can happen to be a momentum shift on the defensive side because right now, how we keep saying, Clay's in a slump. Steph can just shoot the lights out at any moment. So It can happen, but I think they just got to take it one possession at a time and not let those big momentum swings going down 10, being down by – because at one point I remember at the game, they were up by 5. They call a timeout. The Golden State ties the game up, and then they go up 5. So it's a 10-0 run just that fast. So the momentum can change, but it's how do they respond to it. That's the one thing that, they turn the ball over once they get flustered and get down. So they just got to keep their composure. Like you said, Golden State is the more experienced team, but I think Boston, to answer your question initially, Boston can turn it around and get the defense going on their own side.
Well, you talk about swings. Boston was down 15 in game 1. Huge comeback in that fourth quarter, turned things around. So, no lead is safe.
That's true. No lead is safe. But the problem with that is if you need Marcus Smart to be that version of their own version of Draymond Green, yeah, he is the defensive player of the year. But if he's going to overexert himself on defense, he's also their point guard, and that's a problem. He can't necessarily be their point guard because he doesn't really help Tatum and Brown both get easier shots. If he's doing all of that on the defense, I just think he's going to struggle on the offensive end like he's been doing. And then he's going to start selling, trying to chase Steph around, trying to chase Poole around, trying to chase Clay around. Regardless if Clay's you could call it a slump. I just think Clay needs to find his stride. This is the NBA Finals. It's a new level, and he ain't played at this level of basketball since the last time he played basketball. It's been literally against the Raptors.
Years.
The last time, outside of he came back this season, but the last time he really played this type of basketball was against the Raptors, and that's when he got hurt. So he got to find his stride. The thing about Clay is, I know he didn't hit. I know he wasn't making it, but he was still 4 for 19. You know what that means to me? He's aggressive and he's looking for a shot. Yep. Like I said, leave him open if you want to. He's going to make you pay. But I just think I already seen that Udoka's going to make Williams start tonight. That's supposed to be their some so-called enforcer. They need Williams and Horford to be those guys. And Marcus Smart, I don't feel like the smart thing for him to do isn't try to lock up Steph Poole. He needs to try to be on the Draymonds or somebody slower so he could be able to be an actual point guard to get his actual wingman the ball, which is Tatum and Brown, so they could have easier shots and they not trying to create for themselves all the time. And that's how they have such a high turnover rate, because they're trying to create for themselves.
Smart seems to make a lot of plays off the ball too. Like on the defensive end, he kind of comes out of nowhere. So if he's, when he's not guarding the ball, when he's in the corner getting boards, wolfing somebody, getting steals from behind, he seems to play a little bit more that kind of loose role a little better. And I did see that Clay was watching his old YouTube videos trying to find his shot again. Well, you never know.
Just bring back out Jackie Moon. Like they did. That's what they did before the playoffs started. He brought out Jackie Moon, and I was like, that's his favorite movie and all that. And
loosen him up. Got to have
Clay
fun.
Start hitting again.
We're going to hope to see that they start hitting again, because as I'm looking at what's going on right now, it's 4-10. So Boston's up 4-10. Beantown's rocking right now. It was 2-10, but
that's still not that much.
We starting off with those quick shots that I'm saying, man. They got to continue on this roll. It's not far-fetched to let them get on a roll themselves, and that crowd is going to get behind them. That noise is going to be a factor with Golden State. So, anything can happen in these games. I think, like I keep saying, the narrative may be controlled from somewhere else. It may not even be on the court at all times. But I think Boston has a great chance in this game 3 if they just continue on the road. It's 12-4 right now. That lead is increasing. Go. So, and timeout by Golden State.
Quick timeout from Steve Kerr. And that's a great segue, because we are just about at that point. We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break here on the Yamo Media Network. And when we're back, we'll be talking about my Colorado Avalanche, the WNBA, and getting into hot water with Deshaun Watson. We'll be right back in 5 minutes.
They so crazy.
In the first year. Kenneth Walker from Michigan State was picked number 41 by Seattle. I think I watched him play last year in the Big Ten, and I thought he was the best back in the Big Ten. He had some really explosive games, and he knows how to get up in the hole. He knows how to run away from people, and I think he's a guy to really watch in the first year.
The corner is sent in. Into the net it is! Damani Kamara opens the scoring. His teammate number 8 swung out wide, ball in. Kamara yet again! Damani Kamara, have a day, sir! Sent over. And another goal for Columbus! Shot taken, and it's deflected in! 4-0 Columbus. Guled Abdi gets his name on the scoreboard. He has 2 already. Can he get a third? Kamara, he can! Damani Kamara with a hat trick. 5-0 to the home side.
Welcome back to That's Debatable, fam.
We back.
Thanks for being patient with us. Always got to give due diligence to our sponsors and our commercial broadcasters. So, Game 3 is underway. What did I see? 16-8. I think Boston's up a little bit, but it's early. Like we've seen in the previous games, things don't happen till third quarter, fourth quarter even. So, in the meantime, like I left you off with, Deshaun Watson, hot water. Man, the news has been everywhere. I think the tweet dropped yesterday or the day before that Watson had messaged around 66 different women soliciting massage services, and that also the Houston Texans have provided him maybe a space for these massages, maybe a spa, something like that, and then provided him with at least one non-disclosure agreement. So those things in themselves don't shine, too positive of a light on the man. And this, excuse me, this was reported by the New York Times, as you can see the tweet there that we've got posted. But so it's a big breaking article. The New York Times is also one that, they've got that huge department. They can dive into these things. They've got people that can look up these, stats and find these odd, because you hadn't heard that yet, and it's been a long time in the making. So it's a very emotional, it gets a lot of people, heated, angry, questions of the Justice Department. All these different things get tied and drawn into this argument and this debate. So, we can't we're not going to get into whether he's guilty or not. That's for the legal system to determine. So I guess what we can talk about, do you think Deshaun Watson will start for the Browns at any point this season?
No, but he should. This is just a lot to unpack, man.
Yeah, it is.
Will I think he played for the Browns this year? No, because somehow, just to please the people, they're going to have to make him, even though I feel like that's what him sitting out the whole last season was, even though it wasn't really a suspension necessarily last year. They ain't really coined it that, but that's what it.
That was a lot of the sentiment last year was he's sitting out this season to kind of preemptively avoid that suspension. You don't think he'll play at all, sit the whole season?
I mean, it'd be nice to see him around halfway through, or it'd be nice to see him start week 1.
And some of that initially, a month or two ago maybe, I was here, maybe he'll get suspended for 6 weeks, some things like that, and this is all just, speculation, but more has been revealed, so that potential of sitting out the entire season. So you don't think he'll play for the Browns this year?
Just so the NFL won't receive that backlash, nah, because it's already high waters. It's already high waters, man.
Yep. How about you, Will?
I'm going yes. Not even to play devil's advocate. I'm going yes for sure. Maximum 8 games, 4 games minimum. He should be suspended for, and like Jared said, it's kind of to appease the crowd a little bit, to keep the hush.
Cancel culture.
Yeah, to keep it down, to keep.
Can't cancel the NFL.
The NFL has a lot of female supporters, and I think in order to make sure something is justified, even if it doesn't come down from the legal system, I think that they should, just because the accusations are there, that they should take matters into their own hands. But man, it's a lot of hearsay even, and I don't really, like you said, we were not the judge, the jury, or anything, so I don't really want to get too far into it. But so it's a lot, but I don't know. Once again, that narrative is coming in, and it's coming in at the time of when the training camp is starting. So I think they're trying to bring it back up now to say that, hey, we got this going on with him. Let's go ahead and sit him down. But I do think that he will emerge back onto the field before the end of this season is over.
All right, you said minimum 4, maximum 8.
Right.
That's a pretty, that's a typical suspension that you've seen before. I will throw in Calvin Ridley is missing this entire season for placing a $1,500 bet and just gambling on the game of football. So I understand there's very big differences there.
There's no Pete Rose.
And especially with the paid partnerships that NFL teams have with MGM, with Betway, with all of these sponsorships, that's just another big kind of matzo ball you've got there. This situation specifically, Deshaun, she said, he said, there's lots of documents that, we haven't seen yet, that we won't, that might get buried. The NFL, like you said, one of the biggest billion-dollar corporations. They've got a lot of power.
Right to where I was about to go. Because you're talking about the billion-dollar industry, one of their highest ones, one of their owns up in the front office, Mr. Kraft himself. I mean, his allegations weren't too much different than what's going on with Deshaun Watson. We know Mr. Kraft did get his in. You know what I mean? He flew back and forth. And, what did he do? Leave the game or flew to the game after he got right? Yep. So I think he may get the Robert Kraft treatment. But you got to make an example get set out of like I said, it gets deep, people. It gets real deep. But like I said, I stand by what I said, 4 to 8 games, and he'll be back. Baker Mayfield, get ready, even though the Browns did tell Baker Mayfield, hey, just stay at home, do a couple more progressive commercials, State Farm or whatever you want to do. Don't even come to a mini camp. I don't know if you guys seen that one, but they asked him to stay at home for a little while. So
I did not see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of drama going on in Cleveland right now. But it's just wild to me that all of this, like, how do we get here? This stuff has been going on. Nobody knew anything.
Yeah, this took place mostly between 2017, 2019, 2018, 19, something like that.
He demands a trade. He wants out. Everybody knows that. During that same week, all of these accusations come out. And now we got the Texans. I always thought it was something. The Texans, all in a way, they're the ones who threw this stuff out there. Regardless if this is some of these accusations is true or not, for the fact that the majority of them is literally the same story, that's what makes it a little suspicious to me. Some of these girls are just. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but
but kind of cut, man, copy paste the same headline.
It's just like the one video I saw with the one. She never gave her name, but the whole business thing. It's just a lot, man. It's just weird.
And that you did bring up a good point, because when this, when he initially asked for the trade out of Houston,
right,
that was kind of a thought amongst a lot of people.
No trade clause. He had all
none
the
of
cards,
that, and so Houston dumps all of this to maybe,
now that they're supplying him with NDAs and hotel rooms.
Yep.
So they already knew what he was into.
Did they bury him? Did they say, hey, here you go, just to get him underwater? Did the Houston know that we was gonna have a problem real soon with Deshaun Watson? Did we, kind of do the bait card? You heard of
it
the
was
bait
probably
card?
It was probably an insurance policy. And now since he withdrew from his insurance, was I'm demanding a trade. Yeah, this is what happens.
So now we hold you hostage.
Now we saved all of this.
Set them up
right
a little bit. It's a little bit of setup here in it, but I mean the same story from all the ladies, the same narrative.
I don't know. He asked for this. I don't know. Like I said, the one girl, she said on her IG she didn't. She doesn't do massage. Yeah, she doesn't do massages. But he hit her up about a massage. She kept telling him that she don't do that. She allowed him to book an appointment. She allowed him to come through. And despite how uncomfortable she claimed, she still went through with everything. She could have just, from the get-go, she said she doesn't do massages anyway, so I don't understand what publicity she could have got from Deshaun Watson anyway. Just maybe a shout-out.
Just the money to
maybe
do
she didn't expect it to be that way. But
they always say no means no, and obviously her no didn't mean no.
Never said. They just talked about how uncomfortable she was. Like, he didn't, like, Deshaun, no, don't get me wrong, what Deshaun Watson did was, it's filthy, it's nasty, whatever, but it wasn't, like I said, he wasn't putting it wasn't no pills and no drinks, he wasn't holding anyone against their will, he was still paying for whatever he thought he was about to get or try to get, he was still being a quote-unquote gentleman, he was just being a nasty guy. But besides that, it's just a lot of suspicious stuff. Like, he had some was consensual, and some was they just talked about how uncomfortable they was, but they still went through it. He said massage here, they still massaged here. He might have moved a little something and make something happen, and it was just, like I said, it's just disgusting. But before all of this, Deshaun Watson was viewed as he was a prospective franchise quarterback with no known character issues, and he seemed to be living up to his billing. He when Hurricane Harvey hit, he wallowed Houston in August 17 before Watson's rookie season. He donated his first game check to the stadium cafeteria employees who were affected by the storm. It was nothing but positive information about Deshaun Watson before he demanded out.
Yeah, he never had any blemishes at his time at Clemson. No. But then, that's the slippery slope of men in a position of power, taking advantage of, women, whoever in, other positions, exerting those kinds of things. So, very slippery slope. And that's what, the justice system, legal system, supposed to kind of hammer out. The NFL and their billion-dollar reach and all of the power and influence they have is, one more thing that makes this an even more complicated, So let's talk about the football part of it then. It's hard to wade through all the other stuff. Who's going to be the quarterback for the Browns? I mean, Baker Mayfield, they got
Jacoby
right
Brissett.
there.
They do got Baker, but they also signed two other quarterbacks. I thought they had Jacoby Brissett and another James Johnson or somebody.
Yep, Jacoby Brissett's looking like the man now.
Baker, they just need to figure out what they're going to do with Baker. They might as well bite that bullet, cut him, go ahead, pay him that money.
That's what I can't figure out, why they're kind of, it's a loose relationship there. Jimmy G out in San Fran, obviously.
They can't make that trade because then that's still another Jimmy G got to go scenario.
Another $19 million for them. Cam Newton threw his name out there, said, there's not 32 starting quarterbacks that are better than myself.
Yeah, but it's about 28.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So the Browns are in hot water, and as we always talk about, the most important position in sports, the quarterback. I mean, that's why they're getting paid $50 million.
I expect to see Baker Mayfield week 1. If they don't suspend Deshaun, it'll be Deshaun. But if not, I think, like I said, the Browns are saying for him to stay at home. They excuse him from mini camps today, OTAs. So that's the reason they may have sit him down. Maybe we'll have a back discussion before you come out. Maybe they letting him know this is what's about to go on with Deshaun, so be prepared. But it's either going to be Baker, could be Brissett.
And honestly, if it's in Jacoby Brissett's hands, that ain't the worst
not
thing.
bad, no.
I mean, he's got a record. He's got a career, a couple years here and there. He's played some good ball. Case Keenum, he held his own last year. I'm with you, though. I think Baker gets the start week 1.
Well, I guess right now,
stick around.
Looking at the depth chart, it says Deshaun Watson, quarterback number 2, Baker Mayfield, and quarterback number 3, Jacoby Brissett. I say if Deshaun Watson is suspended, Baker Mayfield needs to audition, and the Browns need to try to hold the ship steady. So Baker Mayfield and upper management in Cleveland should be able to try to work something out to where he still play and not necessarily sabotage the team because he's working for his next job.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, this is a great opportunity for Baker, who's, trying to find a starting spot. In his mind, he's better than the public perception of him.
He is.
This is a great opportunity for him to put that on display. So
Baker Mayfield is not a bad quarterback. He just got
He's
put
just
in.
not a good one, right?
He just got put in a bad situation. Nah, man, if it wasn't for Baker Mayfield, the Browns would not be back where they are right now. When have the Browns ever been relevant the last 28 years? And I'm just going in my lifetime.
But man, their roster has been stacked. They've got the best run game in the offense, the best line in the league the last couple of years. Their defense is loaded. Baker also did a good job of getting them out of those playoffs. He does a lot to hurt the team. He does quite a bit to help the team win. So I'm kind of on that. I'm on the more, he makes a lot of mistakes and throws a lot of bad balls that you can't as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Favre-esque.
All right. Well, there you go. Favre-esque. That's a good segue, my man. So we're going to hang it up for the Browns. We'll see who's the starting quarterback week 1, whether it's Baker Mayfield like Will thinks, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, or it's Deshaun.
Let's just hope it's still Deshaun.
Doubt it.
I hope it's D-Watt. D-Watt, I'm rooting for you, bro. You got haters.
We'll see what comes down the pipeline. But my guy here mentioned Brett Favre. So we saw this on, it would have been The Herd with Colin Cowherd and Fox
FS1.
Sports.
Yep.
The debate, would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre? And this is just their postseason records, right? 2022, Rodgers projections. So you can see it right there. Rodgers is 11-11, Favre 13-11. It's that interceptions. And isn't that the most commonly used statistic in the NFL? Is that if you win the turnover battle, you are like 80% chance of winning the game?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So,
I think
who you taking? Crunch time, playoffs, fourth quarter. Packers are down 3.
I don't know.
Coach, you plugging in Rodgers or you plugging in Favre?
What's worse, somebody who's fearless and might turn it over, or somebody who just freezes up and not seize the moment? Which one's worse to you?
I'm thinking fearless is going to be Favre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sub-Zero over there. Yeah. Agent 12. But I got to go with Favre, man. I might be a little biased, and it's definitely not because of the green and yellow, maybe because of the purple and gold. But he also was fearless and threw an interception in that moment. In that NFC Championship game, bound and gate. Let's not get into that. But I'm definitely going with Brett Favre. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers has had more weapons, more everything, pass happy league, Mike McCarthy to Matt LaFleur.
But you're the head coach.
But if I'm
not
the head
Mike
coach,
McCarthy,
okay,
not Matt
I'm the head
LaFleur,
coach.
who
I'm going
you're,
give
yeah,
me
that's what I'm
Brett.
talking about. Who you putting in?
Give me Brett, made of steel.
You gonna tell him how crazy he is?
I'm ready to tell him how crazy it is.
Give me Brett.
Get on it, man. That's ridiculous. I get it. I love Brett Favre slinging around, but please correct this man.
I mean, when you got Aaron Rodgers and he's had guys like Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver,
Devontae Adams.
he's had his own weapons too, and I think he's led the team to victories. You know, you've seen him go on last-minute marches, not big games. I ain't saying big games. I ain't saying Super Bowls. I'm saying you've seen glimpses of Hall of Fame potential from Aaron Rodgers. He just can't get it done in the big games, unfortunately. And it seems like he can't get it done in Green Bay in the playoffs. But I think when it comes down for a Sunday night football game, crunch time, i.e. maybe the Rams, or like I said, one of those big games where it's time for Rodgers to step up, you see him usually. His primetime numbers is probably pretty good.
Primetime regular season.
It's
almost
just regular season.
He's almost like he's James Harden. But
that's the comparison was their postseason record.
exactly.
So
What was that? Can you pull that graphic back up, please?
They're not they're under 500 for both.
No, can you pull that graphic back up, please? Brett Favre is 13-11, 60%.
And Rodgers is at 500.
At 500, and he's 7-9. He's 8-9 in the playoffs since his Super Bowl run. Brett Favre at least did seen Super Bowls early in their career. Both snagged a Super Bowl early in their career. Brett Favre at least has taken Lambeau Field to the promised land at least twice, even though he didn't get it done. I think one loss was to.
So you got the highest TD to INT ratio there with Favre, not even on that list. I guess it's since 2020.
Exactly.
Aaron Rodgers is at 8.3.
Okay, you know what I see? I see the GOAT and maybe a possible future GOAT who both will be better than Rodgers. The thing is, you know what I see? What's the difference? But what the last 3 years? What has happened between those three quarterbacks? Anybody got to guess? Take a guess.
Super Bowl rings?
I say that somebody won.
Championship.
Tom Brady has won 2 Super Bowls for 2 different teams. Mahomes has been to 2 Super Bowls and he's won 1. Meanwhile, Brett Favre is somewhere losing the NFC Championship game to the 49ers that Mahomes also beat.
Rodgers, but yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Give
me the man who's not afraid. Whether if we lose or not, I'd rather you lose not being afraid than you lose just freezing up.
I don't think Rodgers is afraid or freezes up.
No, he chokes. Did you not watch? You're a 49ers
I was
fan?
watching for sure. But there's... Man, the talent and the ability and the skill set that Rodgers has, I think Rodgers has probably got a higher football IQ as well. Just from the way offenses have evolved in the passing attack and some of those things. I mean, he's one of the best in the game at reading a defense, making a quick change at the line, any of those kinds of things. And, yeah, I mean, Brett Favre, as much as I love it, just –
gunslinger.
Just throw the ball wherever you want, breaking his receiver's hands, just chucking it. He was highly entertaining. Man, there's no way. At crunch time, you got to take Rodgers. And I know our Packers fan behind the desk is probably losing his mind over there. But, I was very surprised to see that even as a topic of conversation.
Trust me, it disgusts me having this conversation too.
On the herd. So, I mean, you got to take Aaron Rodgers above Brett Favre.
Nah.
In any way, shape, or form, man. It's that touchdown to interception ratio.
Who had the higher expectations?
8.3. There you go. Who's better? Yards per game. That's like I said, man. Touchdown to interception ratio.
Is this what we're doing?
The dude does not. No, we're not doing that.
I'm about to say, definitely give me Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady.
Oh well, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to. I mean, that's not up for debate.
Yeah.
As anything is, but I'm saying it again. Touchdown to interception ratio. Rodgers is trying to not throw 100 touchdowns in his career.
That's real cute.
Like
He's real calculated on the field, except for when it's when it really matters.
So I guess you guys are just saying throw out all the stats. The graphic we just saying the stats obviously gave it a more ways than one to Rodgers. No matter what the stats say, y'all just saying forget the stats. Let's just go by on the field.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Also, the statistics are
not to forget the stats. No.
The statistics are a different era of football played, different head coaches, different offensive lines, different defenses. All of those things compound into ultimately what shakes out in a football game and where some of your statistics can lie. generally speaking, a whole bunch of touchdowns to very few interceptions, that's just his style of play, and that's what he's capable of as a quarterback. Some of those semantics that details into like the playoff situations and all of that isn't quite up to the quarterback. So that's kind of where I'm at. Kind of throw the stats out the book, but the dude doesn't turn over the ball, and that's what you want to win games.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
He might not turn it over, but he don't make the right play.
That's debatable.
I don't know.
All right, quarterback time. We all know Jimmy G's the best out there.
Oh, no, give me Trey Lance.
Starting week 1. I'm excited for Trey, but it's the end of the first quarter of Game 3.
What's the score? Score update.
33-22. Boston's up 11.
Here we go.
55 total points so far. That's right about on. That's about average. I did see one question in the chat from Catalyst Cards, and I was curious too. And I guess we'll have to look. Has Draymond Green got a technical foul yet? I don't think he has. What do you guys think tonight? If
It's coming.
You think it's coming?
That's why I said I want a tech from Draymond. I thought he got a tech last game.
You did.
Yeah, it's the next tech he might get suspended, I believe.
Is that how that works, right? Or does it have to be 2-in-1 game?
Nah.
2-in-1
Two to
game,
get
you
ejected
get
from
thrown
that
out.
game. But if you rack up seven total
That's
turnovers.
what it is.
7 total technical fouls in the playoffs,
Yep.
you get suspended for a game.
That's what it was, because that's what led to LeBron's championship,
Right.
2016. And the refs swallowed their whistles. Do you think Draymond gets one tonight?
I think he gets
I think
one.
he just wants to.
I want one from Draymond tonight. And if that's going to cause him to be suspended, then nah, I don't need it. But I need him to almost threaten that.
He's going to push every single limit that he can. Like, push it all the way.
By any means, man. By any means. They want to
And
call him
that's-
a dirty player.
That's the moment, or that's the slogan right now for Boston is by any means. They're trying to do whatever it takes, whether it gets Draymond thrown out the game, whether it gets him suspended. They're not going to look for, how you just brought up the LeBron James era. Everybody said that wasn't really a foul on Draymond. He shouldn't have been suspended.
Right.
We're going to do
LeBron
whatever
sticks
it
to the
takes.
media. He said something to the media about it. At the next thing you know, Draymond got suspended.
Yep.
So it's going to be the same thing in this one. They're trying to do whatever it takes to get a win and to try to get that Larry O'Brien back inside of Boston.
And that's a good point. Boston's got to do whatever it takes to win, because they've got to change up their game plan more, I think. They can't just go, the Warriors, we're going behind Curry, and we're going to move the ball, and our guys are going to pick up the slack where they do. Boston, they switch it up a lot. It's always not off the back of Tatum every night. For instance, Jaylen Brown has got 17
That's because
in
he's
the first
inconsistent.
quarter.
It's supposed
he
to be
goes
off
6
his
for
back.
9. And that's where it is because he's so inconsistent. They can't just run it off the back yet. This might be the time for Jason Tatum to show up and put it on his back and win his first chip, but I don't think that's going to happen in this series. I think Warriors going to get the win, and this is a very big growing experience for Jason Tatum. Going to take a loss in the finals and try and ascend next year. But like I'm pointing out, Jaylen Brown, 17 points first quarter. Does he continue that? I mean, he's on pay,
Up
Jason,
15 right now.
Yep,
They're
cruising.
coming out shooting, and they shooting effectively. High percentage shots is what it seems like they're doing right now. Of course, we're here with you guys. Appreciate you probably tuning in to us and watching the game. So, I mean, if you're in any chat right now, let us know what you're seeing, what you're thinking. And I think Boston is going to continue as long as they don't get those guys to get on one of those hot streaks and Golden State gets on a run. I think they're serving well right now. Up 2 touchdowns.
Yep,
Looking good, Boston.
looking good so far.
Yeah, but that's not enough to really put away the Warriors. They're going to definitely get hot towards the end of this quarter, and we'll see what that explosion come like in the third. Can they weather the storm, and can Boston stay this way throughout the rest of the game? I do not believe that they can, and I think that they will get in their own way. What's the stat line?
For who?
Who's really on fire right now for Boston? Is it a team effort, or is it one person lighting it
No,
up?
Jason Brown, 6 for 9. He's
Jaylen
3 for
Brown.
4 from the 3 points. So there it is.
Okay, so
Clay's 2 for 4 from 3. The rest of it's pretty quiet so far. Jaylen Brown looks like he's getting to the rim a little bit. He's got 5 boards. So a good 17 from him, and that's, kind of like we said, Boston. He's the one guy that's going to show up this quarter. And just before we go to break, I'm going to agree with you there. Boston's up 15. Like we mentioned earlier, no lead is safe. So we're going to see what.
That's live score?
Yeah.
They up 12.
All right. They were up 15 until somebody just hit a 3. So now they're up 12. As this
Just like
continues
that.
through this,
1-3, just do it.
No lead is safe. Basketball is a game of runs. We're going to see who comes away from this game, maybe as a superstar or pushing their superstar even higher in the finals. But it's that time. It's 9:45. We are going to step away for a quick commercial break here on the Yamo Media Columbus Network. Don't go anywhere, fans. We be right back.
Got 1-1 for sure. Boston got game 1.
Ooh, you think Boston's going to win game 1?
Boston got game 1.
Yeah, if Boston
By 10.
do win one of the home games, it'll be game 1. One of the road games, I should say. It'll be game 1.
It's close. It'll be a close game, but I think Boston run away with it. One of those third quarters, up by 20. Steph try to bring them back in the fourth.
No, sir. Golden State wins by 9. 7 or 9. 7-9.
Golden State will be up 2.
You heard.
Kenneth Walker from Michigan State was picked number 41 by Seattle. I think I watched him play last year in the Big Ten, and I thought he was the best back in the Big Ten. He had some really explosive games, and he knows how to get up in the hole. He knows how to run away from people, and I think he's a guy to really watch in the first year.
If you're not aware of what's going on in the last 10, 15 hours, the Southeastern Conference football coaches held their annual spring meetings in Destin, Florida. And Nick Saban basically just eviscerated Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M program by claiming that he bought his entire class. Jimbo Fisher, the head coach at Texas A&M. Nick Saban is no fan of NIL. He has made that perfectly clear. And he went after Jimbo Fisher big time, calling out Texas A&M for, as he said, they basically bought their entire class. It's the wrong way to do things. I'm paraphrasing a lot of what Nick Saban said, but you get the impression that Saban, number one, doesn't really care what anybody thinks right now.
Right.
He's at that point in his college coaching career where he feels he can do that. Now, he has apologized in a roundabout way to Jimbo Fisher, who is refusing to take his calls and wants nothing to do with him, which is really great as well, too. And we're going to play some Jimbo Fisher for you here in a moment, his reaction to all this today. But, Greg, my first thought about this was when I saw all this back and forth between these two guys, did you ever see that in the Big Ten? I mean, was there ever a Big Ten coach that called out another coach? It's a different landscape down there. It really is. I can't think of any coach jumping on another coach that hard.
You'd have to think long and hard to come up with that. I'm sure Woody and Bo probably did it,
But not like that.
No.
Not like that.
I
don't think for a second Woody ever thought Bo was cheating. I mean, he knew him too well.
I don't know. He probably thought so.
Well, okay. I'm sorry, but the Big Ten, and I guess that's one of the differences in the two, landscapes between the two conferences. Yeah. The Big Ten has always had a congenial, collegiate, hey, we're all in this together type mindset.
True.
The SEC has not.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's just bitter.
The
rivalries are bitter. They get after each other each and every week.
I can only recall in the 1987 Cotton Bowl, I was part of that team. Earl Bruce said some things to us about Jackie Sherrill, who was the coach then at Texas A&M, that didn't reach the media, but he pretty much called him a criminal, pretty much. I mean, cheaters, whatever. I mean, he sold whether it was true or not, we believed it. So that was the sales pitch to us.
Right.
And he believed it. Trust me, he believed it. But he didn't go to the media to do that. This is different. But I think to me, what this really boils down to is there's a couple things. Number one is A&M beat them last year,
right?
And Saban does remember that and doesn't. I'm sure he has. There's no love lost there between those two. But the reality is the recruiting landscape has changed immensely. And example being, this past week I played in the Ohio State former players outing. Most of the coaches were there. Coach Day talked to everybody afterwards at lunch, and one of the comments he made was, he goes, "Look, guys, the way that we're recruiting now is a lot different than the way you guys were recruited. It's just different, and we have to adapt to that. We have to tap into these collectives because that's kind of the way it's going, and we got to go that direction, or we're going to lose ground recruiting." So it was an interesting standpoint that all these coaches have to embrace where they're at, where they're going quickly, and Saban obviously doesn't want to change because he's had a huge advantage in recruiting.
Right,
and that advantage is being taken away now because of these collectives, and it certainly appears that Texas A&M is kind of in the forefront of how they figured out how to do this. And, they're within the rules as far as we know.
As far as we know.
So, that's why you saw Jumbo bounce back today like, no, in a very, let's say, direct way in the media today.
All right, where's my? There she is.
And welcome back, fans, to That's Debatable. Still here on the Yamo Media Network. Ryan Dietrich, Jeremiah Bays, Will Ward. We left you with some superstar talk. Jaylen Brown tearing up the first quarter of Game 3. But let's talk about our superstars over in the other professional basketball league, the WNBA. They are just about a third of the way into the 36-game season. This is the longest season the WNBA has ever had. Last year they cut it back to 32 because of the pandemic and some things, but they've got a nice tight window, basically May through the end of July, and immediately after that they go right into the FIBA tournament. So, third of the way through the WNBA season. Let's talk some MVP previews. Who you think might have a shot at taking home that trophy? Will Ward, you got a candidate you like or several?
Yeah.
What lady's on your?
I got to go with Asia Wilson, who's leading for the Las Vegas Aces. They're 10-2 right now, and she's leading that team. So I think she deserves to be on that list. I think she's top of a lot of lists right now. She's averaging 16.1 a game and 9.8 rebounds, so close to a double-double a game.
Yes, sir.
She's getting physical, being one of the stronger players on the court. I think she's going to continue to dominate, and if your team is number one, I think you're going to continue to be.
She played for the Aces, don't she?
Yeah, front runner for an MVP race.
Yeah, so she's looking like she might be able to hold that front runner thing. Right now they're 10-2, so I mean I wouldn't be shocked. And on every list that I just looked up or that I've been looking up, she's definitely at the top of the list. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the OG. She right now in her sixth season, Breanna Stewart.
Dude.
I mean, right now they're not first, but it's a longer season, like you said. But they are 6-5, third in the West, and she's averaging 20 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds a game, 43% from the field, 85% from the free throw line, and 33 from the three.
Yeah, I think she is actually the leading scorer in the league right now.
Yeah, she's plus 500 to win the MVP. So you could buy low right now, and when she wins, you could strike gold.
There you go. Pays out 5-1. Yeah, I was checking my bookie account earlier. Asia Wilson, plus 370. Breanna Stewart, right in there at plus 450.
Okay, so.
Kelsey Plum at plus 600. Elena Deladonna at plus 1,400. Erica Ogunbowale at plus 1,400. And last year's reigning MVP, Jonquel Jones at plus 1,500. I also like another Seattle player, Jewel Lloyd. 5'10" guard out of Notre Dame. She's averaging 18.4 as well, but it's tough when you got two superstars on one team. And actually on
They
Sunday,
usually take away votes from each other.
oh yeah, a little hard there. On Sunday, when I was fortunate enough to work for CBS Sports and work the Memorial Tournament here up in Muirfield Village, I was working with one of our former classmates, Candace Allen, who hopefully will get on the show sometime. She's a big WNBA fan, knows a lot about it. So she was filling me in, letting me know Seattle Storm, they're definitely a late season team. They've got a lot of injuries going on right now.
Yeah.
That's what I said. They're about 500. They just won the other night. So they were 5-5 on Sunday. But she had mentioned, don't worry about it. They're a late season team, going to get healthy and come back and rock and roll. I like Elena Deladonna as well from the Chicago Sky, superstar there.
They're 7-3, second in the East.
Yep. So yeah, let's talk
3-game win streak. I like the Sky. Plus, they got my favorite player, Candace Parker, on there.
Say that again. How's the Sky doing? Are they on a 3-game win streak?
3-game streak, yeah.
And yeah, is she your girl, Candace Parker, your favorite player?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's my favorite WNBA player of all time. She brought the defending champion Chicago Sky.
There. Well said.
Yeah.
I missed that.
So you got to put some respect on their name.
So you think they can repeat?
Possibly.
Of course they can with Candace Parker, right?
I mean, definitely they can, but I like what the Aces is doing.
Like we said, it's a long season. That's kind of my squad. I like the Aces. I like the logo out of Las Vegas. So I'm just kind of getting into it. Aja Wilson's a baller. How about you, Will? You got your eyes on a team? You got a favorite WNBA team?
I told you a couple weeks ago, man, I got to go with the Indiana Fever just because of the homie Destiny Henderson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She's a fun and exciting player. She's like we compare it to Allen Iverson a little bit because she's, short in stature, but she's definitely one of my favorites.
Cool. So, yeah, things to look out in the WNBA. Las Vegas Aces at 10-2, and the Connecticut Sun as well at 10-2. Candace kind of gave me some insight there. So the Connecticut Sun have done that the last of the few years. Maybe like the Packers in the NFL, they get to that Eastern Conference Championship game and lose. They just can't finish. Man. So maybe the Connecticut Sun are going to look to turn it around. Not to pick on my guy back there behind the boards, but
full circle on Green Bay.
It's a callback, man. We got to call back, right?
It's not even.
Go ahead.
It's in a Packer topic, so we ain't about to get into that.
So yeah, just a little early WNBA talk. We're gonna pepper it in here. That way, once the season really hits full steam, couple weeks away from mid-season, All-Star break, stuff like that, we can really keep hounding that. Watch our MVP predictions throughout the season.
Bree Stewart, man, buy stock now.
There you go.
I see Brian Ways in the chat. He's saying Sabrina.
Yeah, Ionescu.
Yeah.
She's
that's one of their favorites out in the chat world right now.
I think she's like the leading fantasy point scorer. I thought about that. If anybody wants to get in a WNBA fantasy league, let's go.
Hey, that'll help me learn something on the regular.
Get you in, right?
Hey, let's do that. Debatable WNBA.
So there you go. And obviously, I'm a big fan of her. Just her story, and I thought it was really cool the details she did with Kobe Bryant before he passed while she was at the University of Oregon. Great little clip. Just a whole lot of knowledge about the game of basketball and really X's and O's. I'm talking about Sabrina Ionescu. Really smart, really good player just to be a fan of, be tuned into, and watch the WNBA. It is exciting. It's good basketball. And it's summertime. Once some other sports start dropping off, we can hammer the WNBA hard. Real quick, game update.
What's that scope?
Get over to it. Once I get back to my home page, Game 3 WNBA Finals. Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Boston is up 56-47 with 4:25 to play in the second quarter. So Boston has kind of maintained that double-digit lead. They're up 9 right now, so sort of in that area. Let's check the box scores. Updates for you boys. Klay Thompson, your leading scorer for the Golden State Warriors with 15 points. He's 3 for 5 from 3. So I'm watching old YouTube videos from Klay. Must have done something right. Let's check in on Jaylen Brown, who is scoreless in the second quarter, leading with 17 still. Jason Tatum filling it in finally with 11 points. Al Horford with 7. Marcus Smart with 6. So those two boys woke up a little bit from game 2, maybe back on their home turf, providing them some of that.
It's not enough.
Go-to.
It's what we expected so far. The game really starts in the second half.
It's not enough.
It really does. It really starts in the second half.
Won't get the job done.
So the main thing, I like it, man.
It's to be continued.
I'm with you there. I'm excited for the fourth quarter. I'm just excited to see this game when I get back. So right now, there's your update. Golden State down 9, 4 and change remaining. Excuse me. In the second quarter. All right, let's continue with finals action, man. Tonight's Wednesday. It was a big Monday night for me. My Colorado Avalanche took care of business. Sweep them. Get them brooms out.
Wasn't easy, though.
Get them brooms out.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. They went into overtime, and we're talking about the Colorado Avalanche sweeping the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Finals of the NHL. I got my Joe Sakic jersey over there on the chair. I've been wearing it around all day long. The Avs have not been in the Stanley Cup Finals in 20 years. 2001 was the last time they did it behind Captain
Patrick
Joe
Roy?
Sakic.
Was Patrick Roy?
Patty Waugh, Ray Bourque, at age like 45, was one of the oldest dudes to win a Stanley Cup. I was a youngster at that time, like 15 in western Nebraska, so that was cool right in my backyard, and that's where my fanhood started when the Avs moved to Denver. So they took care of business in overtime, 6-5, man. A lot of goals scored. Avs were up 1-0 at the end of the first. They were down 1-3 at the end of the second, and then period 3 was on. 6 goals scored in the third period.
Crazy.
Took it into overtime. Man, it's fast. It's exciting to watch. They're a fast, exciting team. Definitely a little bit different style of play than the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So the Avs swept them and are waiting for the Stanley Cup Finals to start. New York and Tampa Bay are tied at 2-2. Game 5's tomorrow night. So always a big question when you see this scenario, do the Avs have anything to worry about? Are they going to rust or are they going to rest for this 7-day period? Thoughts? You think 7 days off is too much time for them to sit?
I mean, that is a long period of time for anyone to sit. I wouldn't want to sit that long. That's a whole week. That's almost a vacation.
Yep.
But nah, I think your Avalanche is gonna be right, man. It sounds like they've been focused this entire run, so I don't think it's gonna stop now.
I like it. You got any concerns with it?
I don't think it's more of a rust thing. I think it's more of a rest. And seeing how I know they had, I believe the goalie had got hurt a little bit ago, and he was
Darcy
out.
Kemper.
So I think that rest is going to help them out. And seeing how the goalie is one of the most used roster spots in all of sports, because you got to think the goalie never comes out of the game. If you're the number one goalie, you never come out of the game. Yep. So that rest is definitely going to help them. And seeing how Tampa Bay and the Rangers are battling right now, and it's 2-2, and Tampa Bay is trying to get back to their third finals in the last 3 years, it's going to be tough for them. But I think we always see it. Two teams, they battle with each other so much, it's going to take away from what they have to come into the finals with. So I think the Avs, they're still going to be practicing. You can't simulate game time play, but I think the rest is going to really help them out. And definitely, like I said, because of the injury to their goalie.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things about hockey, too, is getting comfortable with the pace of play in the game. It's something that – and, in the NHL, man, they play every other night through these playoffs. They don't get a travel day even. It's just boom, boom, boom. So these guys getting a nice rhythm. Your chemistry's flowing. And especially with the goalie in net, you all get a feel for, your speed of play, your pace of play. So it's definitely going to be something that could be of some concern for them. It's on Jared Bednar, the head coach. Keep his boys ready, switch up some of those drills. I think they also need to have a little bit of fun. Enjoy winning the Western Conference. They haven't done that in 20 years, so you got to celebrate it a little bit, but you got to stay focused. And a lot of this challenge, resting for a week, is going to be the mental aspect of it, and coming back into, whenever this starts, falling back into form. They might be a little sluggish coming out of the gate, but, the last 3 seasons, they've been bounced in the second round, so that has aggravated this squad. Gabe Landeskog, the captain, he's been through all of these seasons with them. A lot of the core of this team has had this experience of getting bounced in the second round. So hopefully a little bit of that kind of anger and emotion of like, we finally did it. we're still in it. Hopefully that, the mental aspect of this side at the championship level is when you really see who, what you're made of. And I know you guys have been watching a little bit, tuning into the Lightning and the Rangers. In my mind, I want to take on the Rangers. As an Avs fan, I want to play the New York Rangers. Some people out there think the Rangers are a better team than Tampa, but man, I don't want to face a team that's going to be fighting for that third championship.
Right.
You agree with me?
100%. Because you got to imagine that if they could make it to the third one in 3 years, I don't even know if you would consider them favorites because they're just the way the Avs have been playing. But you would have to kind of put a little bit more money on the Tampa Bay side, seeing how the experience is going to come along. And if they didn't fought and got past the Rangers, who's been playing very well here lately, got to look forward to seeing what the Lightning can do.
Yep.
Three-peats don't happen that often. I would like to see a three-peat. So if the Tampa Bay Lightning get there, it might not be an Avalanche that day.
I see they asking in the chat, is the Stanley Cup the hardest trophy to win in sports? You think that's true?
I think it is. I think the NHL playoffs is the toughest thing to go through. We talked about it. The first round, 5 of the 8 series went 7 games. It's very common to go to 7 games in multiple series.
I've seen those guys get hit in the face with pucks here lately. Like, man, there's so many injuries that come in hockey it's some of the worst besides, like, MMA or boxing or something like that.
It's probably worse than that even.
Yeah. So you give it to these guys. It's not an easy sport. I already having to skate. I know you skate pretty well, right, Jay?
Yeah, man, I've been on ice skates before, but
it's
I don't know,
easy,
man.
I know.
You think it's the hardest trophy to win?
I think the hardest trophy to win is a Lombardi, mostly because it's one and done.
Right.
You don't get another chance, at least in hockey or in the NHL, or in the NBA. You got series. You got another chance. You get to live another day. So if you lose game 1, there's always game 2. Now, obviously, you could be the Oilers and get swept. You could be the Nets and get swept. But you could also win a 7-game series and come out on top. NFL, the best team, that's usually the best team, is not how it goes. It's the best team that day. Yep. Where the underdog might win that day, and that's not what we expected. The unexpected can happen in football.
Right. 13-4, say no more.
Yeah, you got right. No, they didn't go 13-4. They did go 13-4, but stuff
to
like
the
that.
Super Bowl, man.
They had an easy path. Now their path wasn't the hardest.
But the Lombardi is the hardest trophy.
Exactly, because the Bengals ain't been there since the 70s. So exactly, it's the hardest. Like, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and the Vikings haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 70s as well.
Yep.
Teams that, like a team that what you expect to go to the Super Bowl and win it all, the 15-1 Minnesota Vikings in 1998 with Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, and those boys, they didn't get the job done by a missed field goal. Like, anything could happen. 28-3 lead. Yep. Super Bowl. The GOAT comes back.
Yeah, I think you really hit it with the one and done. It's who's best on
Like,
that one day is such
chance.
a big difference then. And I guess my thing with this, 7-game series in the NHL, 4 rounds, the war of attrition, you talk about, man, these dudes getting beat up, laying everything they got.
The strategy's different.
And
it's more of a chess match.
And you talked about the goalie as well. Such an important piece of a good goalie who plays lights out can take a team all the way to the cup. That one key player can really change a lot in the course of a game. And on the flip side, if you don't have a goalie or one that's, kind of bouncing back, inconsistencies, those can be really tough to overcome. So I guess in my sense, it's a lot harder to string together 16 wins over the course of almost 2 months, every other day, playing in and out, the wear and tear on the bodies, having a goalie stand on his head in the net. In my sense, that cumulative effort is harder to string together across, 4 series. But you make a very valid point of, the Lombardi Trophy. How about you? What's your take? Toughest trophy to win in pro sports?
That's a tough one. I give it to those guys in hockey, and I feel the same way pretty much with how Jared said. The one and done aspect just puts a total different spin on it.
Yep.
Because you can have how Cincinnati, they're like we want to call it an easy path.
Dude,
but,
man, there ain't nothing.
Oh, that's
easy
just
in
me
the
joking
NFL,
around.
right?
Yeah,
But
I mean
no.
that path to that Super Bowl, you already haven't won a playoff game in the last 20 years, and then you have to go and play the number 1 team in Tennessee, which wasn't easy, and then to knock out Patty Mack
Ryan
and his
Tannehill.
team. You know, whatever is whatever.
But not even to use your Bengals. Use the Bills. A team that's been built in the past 5 years for the Super Bowl and still hasn't got there, and they lost their chance on 13 seconds.
Yeah,
Like that. It's and then it's no guarantee that the Bills will be back. It's no guarantee that the Bengals will be back either. But that's just fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Josh Allen gets hurt.
That's just year 1 for y'all with Burrow being healthy. But Josh Allen and the Bills has been like the last 3 years they've been right in the running. So, but they still haven't even got to that mountaintop.
I may want to switch my thought process up because I think one of the hardest trophies to win might be that NCAA, the not
Natty?
the basketball though, not the basketball,
all right.
the football championship because.
But what is the same team winning?
Exactly why? Because it's not easy to get there. Say that you have so much pressure
the
on
one
the
team
same teams to always get
Just
in
looking
there.
at Nick
It's not
Saban.
easy to have the flawless record, to get there. And if you don't have the ball bounce for you or go for you on a certain day, you lose one game and you're out of the whole entire NCAA playoffs.
That's right.
So
It's
not easy to win a national championship in football.
And just to start out the gate in the NCAA football, man, recruiting, prospects, those things, 98% of bowl-eligible teams are handicapped from recruiting just because of the big dogs.
Right.
I mean, Ohio State, you name the 10 teams
Name the
that
big
are going to
dogs.
have the best talent. Makes it incredibly tough for University of Cincinnati to even get in the conversation. UCF, Central Florida, they go undefeated. Or Central Florida.
Yeah.
Some things like that. So,
or even the big dogs, because you look at all the big dogs, the Bamas, the Ohio States, who else we got? Clemson, stuff like that. As an OSU fan and being one of the top dogs on a normal basis, but we still don't come out with that chip.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It stings.
How you think those fans up
Not
north
even just looking at
feel?
the lower class.
Those fans up north haven't got a championship since what?
Their championship was
Desmond
beating us,
Howard,
and we won't hear the end of
that's
it.
a regular Big Ten championship. We talking about
No, that's their natty.
They split.
That was their nasty
Theirs
daddy.
is.
They
You
split it
know,
with Nebraska. That's their
people in
last one.
Kentucky kiss their cousins sometime, but that don't make it right. I'm talking about the actual national championship. When was the last time they got there? When,
95,
Charles
I think.
Wilson was posing with the
They split
Heisman.
it
That
with
wasn't even
Nebraska.
Charles Wilson. That was
Desmond Howard.
yeah.
It would have been when they split with Nebraska.
That was
98.
98.
Right? Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Jared was barely even alive then.
I seen Michael Jordan win his 6th ring that year.
Exactly. So it's hard to win that national championship in football. You got teams that's like, your lower tier teams like the MAC schools. They'd never win a national championship. So it's harder to get there.
They just should just be happy with getting a good bowl game. Certain teams should just be happy with certain things. Now they should be able to have those type of expectations, but if they don't switch up their field and move to different locations, then this might be slow. Like that's like a lot of the teams left the Big East to try to go to harder conferences.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's debatable. What's the toughest trophy? I did say.
I think the easiest trophy
I
to
said,
get
what's the
is the
toughest
NBA Finals trophy. Even though we might not see this. I mean, it's really usually the familiar faces, and it might be a lot more extra stuff. But I think that might be the easiest trophy to get.
you can really make a run at the Larry O'Brien with like 2 players or 3 players.
And that's mostly
we were
because they
seeing
control the
big
league.
3. Now we're seeing a little shy away from that. Speaking of, quick update on the game. It's halftime. Boston up by 12. The Celtics lead the Warriors 68 to 56 at halftime. Excuse me. And a little quick info. Klay Thompson 15, Steph Curry 14, Andrew Wiggins 13. Dude's getting it done. Jaylen Brown finally filled in a few. He leads all scorers with 22 at half. Tatum with 11. Marcus Smart with 10. So Boston cruising, but it's that ever crucial third quarter. We'll see if the Warriors are going to blow up or if Boston's just going to keep cruising. The last thing I was going to say.
It's just Boston better not take their foot off the gas because they're letting the Warriors hang around. That 12-point lead is not safe. That's 4 buckets for them.
Yeah.
They seem to be playing up to speed right now. We've been saying that, it's
What's
5-point
Steph's,
lead,
field goal?
12-point lead. That 12-point lead is remaining consistent. they got up early and they starting to stay right there. But like we said, that third quarter it's anybody's game still.
And it looks like, Boston's shooting high. They're 57%, so it's got to be a lot of twos. They're 8 for 18 from 3. Warriors are 7 from 19 for 3. Steph is 6 for 10 from the field.
So he's
2 for 4
slow and
from
steady.
the 3. And
He's
Klay
slow and
is
steady.
3 for 7.
That's
so
scary.
Clay's putting it up.
Yeah, that's scary. The Warriors are definitely winning this game.
They're going to get hot. All right, you heard it there.
Mark it right there.
Jeremiah Bays.
Timestamp it. Where we at?
Yeah, Warriors are going to win the second half.
Out of here
and win the game. And that's it, gang.
You gotta hit 3 cameras.
Yeah,
Ain't no way, man.
Which one we at? What the? Which one?
All right. So, Game 3 of the NBA Finals just about over. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL takes place tomorrow.
What is next Wednesday? What's next Wednesday's date? What's 7 days from now? The 15th.
That's probably when the Stanley Cup Finals are going to start. We'll see. If you're in Denver, I see tickets are about $1,000 to get to Ball Arena for Game 1. And if you're in Boston tonight, you probably paid about $1,500 to $2,000
Yeah,
for
they
nosebleeds.
said these were some of the most expensive tickets.
My
70
buddy in Casey was looking at it. He sent me the screenshot, like $1,800 for nosebleeds. And then you got to buy $25 beers, all that business. So stay at home. and avoid
Courtside
it.
seats in Golden State was $70,000.
You'd be better off going to get 3 tanks of gas instead of 2 tickets. You know what I mean?
So all of our fans still out there, viewers tuning in, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here with us.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now.
That's right. We always love the chats. We love the comments. This is our first night in our new digs here
Welcome
live.
to Yamo Media.
That's right, Yamo Media Columbus. You can find us here every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. We started a little late tonight. There's tornadoes in the area, so we just being safe. So 8 o'clock, Wednesday nights, live on Yamo Media Columbus. You can find That's Debatable. I'm Ryan Dietrich, here with Jeremiah Bays and Will Ward. That's it for me. Take us out, fellas.
I think that
Close.
it'd be what? Just coming off
Game
of
7
5? It'd be
or Game 6 if we make it to next. It'll be next Thursday. Is Game 6.
next Thursday, so it'd be coming off of Game 5.
Yep.
Game 5 would be.
Oh, yeah, Warriors already be
Coming up
NBA
this
champions by
Monday.
the time we get back on the show. So we'll see y'all. I might come up here. I might be on my Uncle Shed Sharp stuff. Get the goat mask for Curry. Get the goat mask for Curry, man. But That's Debatable. See y'all next week.